Welcome, one and all, to Neverlag, and this is This Week in Gaming, where we talk about this week in gaming. And we've got quite a show for you here, including but not limited to the PlayStation State of Play that just happened. Fresh thoughts coming at you. So, I'm Levi, and I'm joined by the man who fell in the pit, Zach. How you doing, Zach?
I accidentally shattered a glass with my bare hands in a public restaurant today. Cut up my hand, and it was embarrassing. And I got Diet Coke all over myself. So I am sodden with Diet Coke. My hand is it's not that bad of a cut, but my hand has a couple of cuts. So now it stings when I put on hand sanitizer. So as you can imagine, I'm a little grumpy. But thankfully,
it's a tough life.
Thankfully, we have the State of Play to get into.
Which
I'm sure will make
thank goodness
make it all better. How are you?
Made yourself you made yourself bleed your own blood, huh? You got to stop working out, man.
I know, I really do.
You're too strong. You can't even hold a glass without shattering it.
I know. I got to stop getting off the couch multiple times a day because the amount of muscle I'm building. How are you?
All right. I'm good. I'm fine. Let's get into this. Like I said, this is This Week in Gaming. We bring you the news, reviews, and hot takes from the past week. And if you're into it, you can support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/neverlag, right here for free by watching on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts from. Let's talk some games. How many stories do we have today?
I think we have 8 stories. I didn't do a formal count, but I think it's 8 stories. Right. And then we got we also have a couple of review roundups, and at the end we'll talk about free stuff and sales and not. So the usual. So I think the elephant in the room, proverbially, is the Sony State of Play. We just are coming off watching this. Well, by the time this news episode comes out, it'll be a day past the June State of Play. And yeah, we did get some interesting things. I guess I'll highlight everything.
You want to go section by section?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do section by section. First, I'll give a couple of very high level thoughts and you can do the same. And then we can go into each things that were announced.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
My initial thoughts are that it was, okay. There is a couple of things that caught my attention. Overall, I still don't know what to make of these State of Plays. I don't know what the point of them is. I don't know what we're supposed to be like. It just feels as ever to be kind of a mess. I don't understand the reasoning behind exactly what goes into making these, but there are a few things that were kind of interesting to see. It's not the major things I want to see. Like, I don't think most of the big things we want to know about were not covered in this State of Play. So kind of same as ever. What about you?
Yeah. I think I have come to know what to think about State of Plays, and what I know about them is they're really not worth watching for the most part. Like, honestly, if we were doing the show, or I probably would still watch them because I'm a sucker, but they're not worth watching for the most part. You're better off getting the bullet points later on, like literally a list of bullet points would be better, or going to your favorite content creators such as Neverlag, of course, and listening to their thoughts on the State of Play. But yeah, as a piece of content, it's just, I'm no longer excited at all. We're all waiting for the showcase from Sony, and then when they announce a State of Play, we don't go, oh cool, we go, where's the showcase? Because this is what they've shown us what a State of Play is. It's barely justified most times. My only hope is that this is, before we get into Summer Games Fest, this is them getting some smaller things out of the way, because allegedly Sony is going to be a part of Summer Games Fest. I don't really know. We're going to find out here in the next week or two, but that's my hope. So We'll see.
With that, let's get into some of the things they listed. There's a few interesting things, but it's kind of a mishmash. First thing they showcased was Resident Evil 4, the remake. So they've remade a couple of the Resident Evils at this point. So main thoughts here is that it looks pretty.
PSVR 2 titles was kind of the marketing behind these.
Well, they announced the Resident Evil 4 remake, and then they went into the PSVR titles, which also has.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. That was separate.
So we'll get into that as well. You're not wrong, but they're also doing a Resident Evil 4 remake. They've remade Resident Evil, I think 2 and 3 in the past 4 or 5 years, and I haven't played them. They look really good for fans of. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, but I know fans of Resident Evil really liked one or both of the remakes they've done in the past few years. So
2
if you're
was
a big,
very critically acclaimed. People were saying
that's
game of
I
the
think that's the
year.
one I'm thinking.
I think it was 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of. So if you're really into Resident Evil, it's probably worth checking out. They're not my cup of tea, really, but yeah. Any thoughts on that one?
No. No, yeah, this wasn't for me. So it's cool. I think everyone expected them to move to 4 next. They've been
Mm-hmm.
remaking them all. They probably make decent money for effort, for investment, you know. So
Yeah.
we all expected that to come. And Resident Evil Village coming to VR, also
Mm-hmm.
probably a really good move. I mean, if that's your type of game, I'm sure it's even more terrifying in VR. But yeah, not my not my style.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So they will have Resident Evil 4 content available for PSVR 2. They're also releasing. I wasn't sure if it's the entirety of Resident Evil Village or like some
I think
specific
so.
content for VR 2. It looked like the trailer from the game that we've seen over the past year or so,
Yeah,
which is neat. I can't. I'm not really good at handling horror games in VR. It's a bit too scary for me. But
it's
yeah,
intense.
if that's your thing, that'll probably be pretty cool. Which takes them. They announced 4 different
If you like
games,
changing your pants regularly while gaming, this is for
hmm
you.
or if you like sitting in your own soup of. Let's keep going. So the other VR games, VR2 games they announced were The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Retribution, which is quite a title. There's like multiple. I feel like there's too much going on in that title. I think it's also like Chapter
There's a
2.
lot.
The Walking
There's a
Dead,
lot going
Saints
on.
and Sinners, Retribution, Chapter 2. Yeah, that's too
The
much.
second.
But the second, again, it's a zombie game. It's The Walking Dead. Probably a good fit for VR. No Man's Sky is the one of the ones that looked cool to me. I haven't really gotten into No Man's Sky. I love sci-fi, and it sounds like No Man's Sky as a game overall is in a much better state these days. Uh, and I could imagine being in your ship and seeing like sights of the galaxy in VR could be pretty neat. If I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to pick up VR2 yet, but if I do, I might check out No Man's Sky. What did you think about that one? I know you like sci-fi as well.
Um, yeah, No Man's Sky in VR. I don't know. I didn't really think much of it, but you saying you might check it out in VR, I kind of agree with that because I played No Man's Sky way back at launch, which it was terrible, and it's known to be one of the worst launches. And then since then, it's been what, like 4 or 5 years at this point. It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest comebacks in gaming history. They've had like something ridiculous, like 10 to 15 free updates, like chunky updates to the game. I keep wanting to go back to it, but I just can't. I've tried once, maybe twice, and it just doesn't grab me because, like, I love Subnautica, and it reminds me a lot of Subnautica, but it doesn't have that narrative purpose to it. There's no
Yeah.
purpose to No Man's Sky. It's just a survival kind of building simulator, resource gathering simulator. But with VR2, all the updates that have come to it, I actually could see myself jumping in and getting some sort of fun out of that. So
Yeah. Agreed. It looks neat. Another one that looked cool was Horizon Call of the Mountain. I like the Horizon games in general. It'd be interesting to try an experience like that in VR. It showed a couple of really cool shots where like you're under the what is it the Thundermaw, I think, like the T-Rex, the big robot T-Rex. At one point is looking over you at the end of the trailer, and it could be kind of neat to see what that experience is like. You're also like climbing mountains, and so you're seeing your hands reach out as you grab ledges. The discombobulated hands in VR still kind of throws me from an immersion
that's
standpoint a
what
little
I
bit.
was gonna say. That's my thing is I was watching that trailer and I'm just like, why are we still doing that? I don't
Yeah,
understand. I don't know why we can't, like, we have first person games where you can see your hands and arms.
yeah, just add the
What's the
arms.
difference? What's the
Yeah, I don't
difference?
know.
It can't be that hard. And even if they think, oh, the way it's hard to animate the arms or whatever for all your movement, it'll look weird. I guarantee you it's less immersion breaking than seeing floating hands everywhere. Like
I
I
totally
honestly
agree.
I honestly almost couldn't focus on the trailer because all I saw were these
Yeah.
floating hands, and I'm just like, I don't know. That was a major bummer to me. I can't believe that we're going into a new generation. VR is now, it's no longer in its nascent stage. It's moved up a little bit. We've been doing this for a while, and we still have floating hands. I was shocked.
Yeah. I know. I fully agree with that. So that's the real drawback with that one. But if I get a VR2 and I'm looking for a couple of games, I probably will
Oh yeah.
still pick up
I
Horizon.
mean,
Horizon and No Man's Sky are the two I'm looking at right now.
well, yeah, and apparently, according to a story coming later, there will be plenty to pick from, but how much of it
Yeah.
will be quality, I don't know. Horizon will definitely be one of the the
Right.
notable PSVR2 launch games, I'm sure. And it's kind of hard to tell how good it's going to look too. That's kind of another selling point for me on YouTube and the streaming and stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't look great, but I'm reserving judgment until we see a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, related to Horizon, they also announced a major update for Horizon Forbidden West, a much needed update. The things they are including with this update are performance mode, improved visual fidelity. I think the proof will be in the pudding there to see what that looks like. But that in and of itself is really great to hear. But also, it's weird that one of the key announcements of State of Play is not like a new game or a new content or feature. I guess it is slightly new content, but it feels kind of like, hey, we're fixing our mistakes, and including that in a lineup of notable announcements is just mildly amusing to
I
me.
think it
But
fits right in the State of Play.
Um, so performance mode, improved visual fidelity, that'll be good. I'm really curious if that fixes it enough for you to play it sooner, or if you're still going to wait for PC. But um, they
Well, I've
also
got
announced
information if you want. You want to go through these first?
no. If you have information about performance mode, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I booted it up because I had a minute and I was like, let's check it out. Let's find out. I vowed I would never talk about Forbidden West, so breaking my promise here. But immediately upon booting it up, this is the first time I've booted it up and actually noticed a difference. So I will say that I'll give that to them. I turned it on and looked at the what usually looks like garbage on my screen, and it seems that they've actually done a job. I don't know if it's a decent job of getting the foliage to look less shimmery. Um, so that's good. That actually goes a long way. That is very distracting. It
Yeah,
was terribly distracting. So that seems to be massively toned down, which is great. I ran around. I fast traveled a few different places. It still is just low resolution in performance mode. Like it's just too
yeah,
low, and it it just looks to me. It still just looks like an early PS4 game. It really does. I understand there's a lot more detail than an early PS4 game would have, but like resolution wise, um, and a lot of the textures, even I'll say a lot of the textures don't look great in performance mode. So I, when I first booted it up, I was like, hold on a minute, maybe I'll play this now. And then I messed around for 5 or 10 minutes, and I was like, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I could see
okay,
myself
okay,
feasibly playing it, but I really kind of want to hold out longer, see if they continue to improve it, or it seems like we're starting to get PC releases just coming out one after the other. So maybe in the next 6 months we get an announcement about Forbidden West coming to PC. So I don't know, but there is a noticeable improvement I saw. So
yeah, that's good. I mean, the fact that you're now on the fence considering playing it means it must be somewhat of an improvement. So I'll have to check it out. If I'm not sure if I'm gonna play it in the visual fidelity mode or the performance mode yet, but
I
check
bet on
that
your
out
TV
if
you're still better off in the visual
in
fidelity.
the that's probably what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Some other nice things in the major update: transmog, the ability to reset your skills and redistribute points, an ultra hard difficulty, a new game plus
New
option,
game
and
plus.
along with new game plus, new weapons and trophies you can get associated with the new game plus. So that stuff's all good. Any other
Yeah,
thoughts on the other
no,
pieces?
I just want to call out that everything else here, I could say a lot of this should have been here earlier, and that's true. But these are all great improvements. I know people who have
Yeah,
played Horizon and loved it have been asking for New Game Plus for a long time. Not sure why it took so long. It's really great that it's here with new weapons and trophies. That's pretty cool. Some more content, so maybe that's why they were working on some things.
Yeah.
Resetting skills and points. Good lord, games need to start just including that all the time. That should be a
Yeah.
quality of life thing. Good to see that. And then transmog also is awesome because there's nothing worse than having to wear some outfit you don't like because the stats are better, or having to wear something with worse stats because you like it better. So
And I've
yeah,
been running
all
around with
great
my
things.
with my Aloy sombrero, and it's about time to transmog that bad boy. So
You poor thing.
Cool. So moving on, we also got an announcement for Spider-Man, the 2018 Spider-Man being remastered. That's coming to PC in August 12th, I believe. So
I don't believe it's being remastered. Just the remastered version is coming to PC that was
that's
already
what I
on
meant.
PS5.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Remastered Spider-Man is coming to PC in
Yeah,
August
which
of
was a
this
little bit
year.
surprising. I mean, it's not, because we just talked about recently how much Sony thinks they're about to make on PC, and no doubt
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man is a large portion of that because there
Yeah.
has not been an Insomniac Spider-Man on PC. Spider-Man sells great. So this makes perfect sense with what we've been hearing, but it was kind of surprising, and then also how soon it's coming. So
Yeah. Yep. So that looks cool. Spider-Man's a great game. So we also saw a little bit more of Stray, the game where you play as a cat in kind of a noir sci-fi city, and you're wandering around alleys and climbing buildings, and looks like kind of a stealth slash platformer game. That's coming July 19th. Um, this looks kind of interesting. It's been on my radar. I mean, I doubt it's going to be like mind blowing, but this still looks kind of cool. I'm interested to check it out. And this will be free for anybody who's part of the PS Extra or Premium tiers at launch. So that's kind of nice. Any thoughts on Stray?
yeah, this was actually one of the highlights of the state of play for me. I think this is the first time we've really seen any extended gameplay. I think we've seen like a very brief snippet. This was still a game I think we really didn't know what it was going to be like, and this gave us a pretty good idea of what we're going to be getting with Stray. And honestly, I was liking it. I think this looks like a pretty cool game. I think it looks
Mm-hmm.
fairly unique. Um, I think the gameplay, from what I can tell, looks pretty fun and interesting. And yeah, I generally left this gameplay trailer, feeling higher on Stray than I did before. Now that we know what it is, which is good, because sometimes you find out what a game is and you're a lot lower on it. So, and
Yeah.
then the fact that it's coming to PS Extra and Premium at launch is pretty cool. I think we're starting to see. Um, we were wondering, is Sony going to continue to push the service the way a Game Pass would?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I don't think it'll be to the same extent. But with Stray coming day and date at no extra cost, um, that's the right direction. So
Yeah, absolutely. So check that out. Stray looks neat. We also saw a trailer for the Callisto Protocol, which this looks kind of like, I don't know, Dead Space meets like
I
Prison
totally
Break
thought
or
it was Dead
something.
Space for a minute. Yeah,
I thought it for a minute. I did, and this comes out in December. But yeah, I don't know that this is going to be for me necessarily. Dead Space, I'm more interested in, but yeah, I guess if you want to kill zombie things in a space station as a,
yep.
I don't know, escaped convict, this is your game. Any other thoughts on it?
Specific fantasy fulfilled.
Yeah,
No,
I mean
that's
that's not
about
a
it. It
bad
looks
pitch, but
right. Yeah, no, it looks interesting. I don't know. We'll see. It's nice that it has a date. We'll see if it actually hits.
mm-hmm. Then we also saw Roller Dome or Roller
Oh
Drome.
yeah,
No, I'm
Roller
forgetting if it was
Drome.
Roller Drome. I was like, did I put an extra R in here? I did not. It's Roller Drome. This is like I don't know, a roller derby arena battle. Um, so you're skating around in this arena, shooting at other players, battle to the death while roller skating. Very interesting. The art style is kind of like pastels, sort of comic book esque. This comes August 16th. I don't know if this is something I'm going to play. It's kind of different. It looks mildly interesting. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it.
Um, no, I don't have too many thoughts on it. It looks like it's a weird combo of Tony Hawk Pro Skater and like a battle
Hunger
royale.
Games,
Like yeah, I don't know,
PUBG.
very
Yeah.
weird. I'm
Yeah.
desperately trying to find the game that it reminds me of. Do you recall the name? This is a long shot of the game that I played. I think it was last year that had that very similar art style that I said was just kind of forgettable. Does that sound familiar?
You know,
Because it has a
it
very
does.
specific art style.
It does. I'm forgetting what that game is called
We'll
though.
figure it out in
Because it's
post.
forgettable.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Put a
yeah. And
screen
so,
up.
anyways, point being, this as soon as they showed the art style for this roller drome, um, I was out because what that game from last year or the year before that I can't recall the name of taught me is that I don't like this art style. There's something about it um makes me feel sick is a bit of a stretch, but like genuinely
Ouch.
I don't have a good reaction to this art style for whatever reason, whether it's like motion sickness. That sounds weird for an art style, but something about it doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not going to happen for me. I thought it was a sequel to the game that's on the screen that I don't remember the name of, but it's not. It's Rollerdrome, so not for me.
Yeah. So if you like being visually uncomfortable due to strange art styles, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
That's
check
only
that
for
out.
me.
It's only if you're Levi. The next game they showed was called Eternites, and this was like
What a
an
bad name,
anime.
right?
That's a terrible name. This is like an
What a bad
anime
name.
action sci-fi game that's also kind of a dating sim. I think they even said dating sim in the in the state of play. So if you want to be an anime guy and date one to multiple cute anime girls while fighting sci-fi dudes with swords, um,
This is a pretty
this
good
is
pitch right there.
this might be your thing, and it's not a terrible pitch. If you're lonely, check this out.
You're lonely.
They also showed Street Fighter 6, and yeah, I guess if you like Street Fighter, this is it. It's a lot of the classic characters. I played a little bit of Street Fighter back in the day, not a whole lot. I'm aware of some of the main characters like Chun Li, Ryu, uh, and some of those make an appearance here. Um, yeah, this isn't like my go-to type of game, but I imagine for Street Fighter fans, this is neat. Interestingly, this comes next year, 2023, to both PS5 and PS4. So 3 years out from PS5 launch, and it's still a cross generational title. But any thoughts on Street Fighter?
Nope, not really. It's the next one of those if you like them. And yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Although I'm sure these aren't pushing the boundaries of what a processor can do, so that's fine. But you
Yeah.
still kind of hate to see that PS4 thing in 2023. So
Yep. Um, cool. And then next they showed Tunic, the game that already came out that I did not realize was not already on PS5 until this showcase. Tunic's coming on September 27th to PS5 and PS4. I just assumed this was was on everything now, but it's not. So Tunic looks like a cool game. I would like to get to it at some point, so I'm glad to see it's on PS5. But low key, I'm hoping this becomes like a free PS Plus monthly game, six
that would
months
be
to a
cool.
year down the line. That's my hope for this one, but we'll see.
Maybe they'll announce day and date that it's coming to PS Extra or something. I mean, if they keep doing that, I will up to PS Extra. I think
Same,
maybe.
and I think they need to do it for that very reason. So
Yeah, exactly. And this
um,
works for me because we talked about this is in my backlog, and I'm in
mhm.
no rush to get to it, and maybe this lines up perfectly for me. So
Yeah, totally. Two final games in the showcase. The penultimate one was a game called Season: A Letter to the Future. This looks strange, but I'm kind of interested in. It's kind of like a chill game. It shows a woman riding her bike through mountains and meadows. It's like sometimes raining. She's taking photos, talking to other people in a small village. It seemed that sounds really boring, I realize, but it seemed very zen and chill. The soundtrack was super nice. Um, I'm a little bit interested in this. It felt like a Studio Ghibli film, both in terms of like the felt like a really nice anime film with a really great soundtrack. So it just kind of made me think of like Studio Ghibli, which I love. So the thing that I'm concerned or not sure about is like, what is the actual gameplay like? That's the one thing that could make this maybe not click, but I'm actually going to keep an eye on this because I love Studio Ghibli. Having video games that are very zen and very different than like the action stuff. Like I feel like we play a lot of games where it's like the world is ending, you have a giant monster that is going to kill you and you have to hit him with a sword or shoot him. That's all great, but sometimes it's nice to just like have a zen experience. So I don't, did you think anything about this one?
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm really on the fence with these kinds of games because sometimes they're fantastic experiences and I really enjoy them, and sometimes they're too quiet and too not enough of a video game, and
Mm-hmm.
they give me this eerie feeling inside of my soul and I don't know what to do with it. So we'll see. I liked I liked
Oh.
the bike riding through the fields and stuff. Like clearly riding your bike around is going to be a mechanic in this game, and that looked peaceful and kind of fun to do. I don't know if this is going to be how linear or how open world this will be. And then I also thought it was kind of cool that they were clearly exploring mechanics of taking pictures, which is not new to games. A lot of games have used that mechanic, but the new one was recording audio clips. And I don't know to what end you're doing this, but if they can make that all interesting enough to go out and take pictures and record audio, and then you get to take that somewhere and do something with it, that could be really cool. I don't think enough games have really explored that as a gameplay mechanic. So I'm definitely intrigued by this. I'll keep my eyes peeled on this one. By the way, the game, which you all know by now, but I didn't until just now, is called Sable. So
From
there you have it.
previously.
There you have it
Okay, yeah,
from
going back to
previously.
the yeah,
I
not
just
this
found
game.
it. Not this game.
The game we're
This is
currently talking
called
about. Yeah,
Season.
season. Yeah, a letter to the future. I
It comes
agree. I
out
think
this year,
that's
huh? Okay.
yeah, autumn. It said autumn of this year, so that's a bit of a
Yeah.
window. But yeah, autumn this year. I think you're right. There could be an interesting mix of mechanics here. It looked pretty neat. I'm excited, tentatively excited for this. If you want to play Pokemon Snap meets a Studio Ghibli film that will send Levi into an existential spiral, this is the game for you. Our final game in the showcase that they showed was Final Fantasy XVI, which I think this was very expected. This is kind of there was mutterings about this. Um, I'm really interested to get your take on what we saw. I don't know if I missed something, but it looked like the combat was reminiscent of Final Fantasy VII remake. Like it looked pretty dynamic, but I'm not sure if I
Do you mean that in
misread
that you
that.
thought there were turn-based elements?
I don't know what I thought this combat was going to be, but it
Because no,
looked pretty.
so my thoughts on this were that this was a little bit disappointing for me. We've been waiting for some more information on this game. I picked it up in our fantasy league, hoping it's all the rumblings where it's going to come out this fall, and I was like, hey, let's take
Mhm.
a chance, let's see. Thankfully, I can drop it if it doesn't come out this year. But so first of all, the combat to me, I didn't think that. I thought the combat looked very Final Fantasy 15 or even Devil May Cry. If you want to go that comparison, much more
Kind of
quick
hack and
paced
slash.
hack and
Yeah.
slash, which I think I've been letting myself get overly hyped for Final Fantasy 16 because of Final Fantasy 7 remake, and this kind of brought me back down to earth watching the gameplay, realizing this gameplay to this point, I have not played a game with this gameplay that I truly enjoyed or that resonated with me. So I'm a little lower on Final Fantasy 16, which is probably my own fault. And then everything else seems cool. I'm really excited about the story. This is supposed to be, it's the same guys who did, or same guy or guys that did Final Fantasy 14's recent expansion stories, which are like renowned as the greatest stories ever told in the existence of humanity. And so I will never experience those because there's just too much time investment. I'm hopeful that this game allows me to. I hope the storytelling is as good, and I'm able to experience that in a smaller, um,
Yeah.
you know, smaller portion. So that I'm excited for. And then the summer 2023, I think it's disappointing. I think a lot of people thought this was hopefully coming later this year, maybe early 2023. So the fact that they threw out summer 2023, we all know that might be fall 2023,
Right.
spring 2024. We're just not going to have this game for a while. So I think it was just
Yeah.
overall a bit of a letdown for me personally.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly didn't expect this to come out this year. Even when we heard mutterings, I just felt like there was no way. So I'm glad to have been vindicated, but it's obviously sucks to wait for it. I'm excited. I'm always excited for a new Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 15 did not click super hard with me in terms of gameplay. In certain
Do you
aspects
like
of the
that
setting,
gameplay? Have you liked hack and slash like that?
it was okay. It was okay. Mm, you know,
It just lacks impact to me. Like it feels
it
like
did
you're
not
not doing anything.
it didn't leave a ton of impact on me. I'll agree with that. So, but I also,
So I
the
don't know.
time I was trying to play it, I had a lot going on. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it deserves another shake. So I'm excited. Like I love Final Fantasy as a franchise. I love fantasy in general. So
Yeah,
I will be around for this game.
I
I will be
almost
picking
certainly will
this game up.
pick up
Yeah.
this game. Yeah,
I'm 99% sure I'll be picking this up day one, unless it like tanks in the reviews. But the creatures look cool, characters look cool, like the world looks neat. Hard to say exactly what the story is from this, other than like epic fantasy stuff and battles and creatures. But
yeah.
those are enough
It
elements to get
looks
me excited. So,
very over the top. So should be interesting.
yep, cool. Well, that kind of wraps up the state of play. Again, it's these are how the state of plays go. There's some interesting things, but you should never expect to be blown away from them. Any last thoughts before we move on to our next story?
Um, where's Little Devil Inside? Seriously, that game is just has disappeared into the ether.
I
Apparently,
totally, I until you said that just now, I legitimately have not thought about that since.
I
When
swear
did they
we
last?
got a
Was that?
release window last year. I'm
I
pretty sure
think
we got
we
a release window last
did.
year, and then it vanished, and it's not even here at this state of play. So I don't know if we'll see it at Summer Games Fest. I don't know if it's lost in development hell. I don't know what's going on. That's a notable thing missing from the state of play, and it's the tier of game that I would expect to be here if it could have been here.
Yeah.
So that not being here is probably the only thing I would call out. And yeah, state of plays they're just meh. So expect every state of play to be meh, and just cross your fingers for an actual showcase from Sony this month, please. End the
Something,
silence.
something. Jim Ryan, help us.
Anything.
All right, so let's move on. Our next story is related. It was announced that PSVR 2 will have over 20 launch games. You alluded to this a little bit earlier. That's basically the story. But I mean, that's good. The launch games will cover both first party and third party titles. Um, Sony announced this in a briefing last week. And Jim Ryan said, right now, there is a considerable amount of money being spent on partnerships with independent and other third party developers to secure a considerable pipeline of attractive VR content to launch at the launch of PSVR 2. Lots of business buzzwords within there. But
Money,
yeah,
money, 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 money.
I mean, that's good for VR, 20 plus games.
Yeah.
That feels
Well,
solid.
here's my 2 cents on this report. It's vague enough, and then the announcements we got today from the state of play for PSVR 2, 3 of which are existing games, I'm pretty sure. So, and some of which are new to VR, but they're existing games. I imagine many of these 20 games will be either
Yeah.
games that were only available on what's the PC VR, the main one. Can't think of it right
Oculus
now, but
or something like
Oculus
that.
games that were
Yeah.
only available on Oculus or Steam or whatever that are now making their way to PlayStation. Games that already existed and are just being like enhanced for PSVR 2, or is there a third option? Games that already exist in a non VR format that are coming to VR, like No Man's Sky. I
Right.
imagine a pretty hefty portion of these are going to be that, and not like we're getting
Probably.
20
Yeah.
new Horizon Call of the Mountain type games. No, you're not. You're
Yeah.
getting maybe, I would guess, 3 to 5 if I'm being generous, like brand
Yeah.
new, hot off the developer press VR titles. So
So weigh accordingly when you decide if you're going to buy this or not. This still strikes me as a somewhat enthusiast product. It's getting better. It's moving down the sliding scale towards like a larger mainstream consumer product, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will open the floodgates, but at launch, this still feels like a more
Also,
approachable version of a still niche
also, I'm just
thing.
realizing the State of Play today was marketed as we're going to get PSVR 2 news. We got this PSVR 2 story. Where is the PSVR 2 date? I totally thought that
Yeah.
that was going to be the main point of the State of Play, and we didn't get it. So it now leaves me wondering, um, with us not getting it here, I guess we'll know more in Summer Game Fest. Maybe they're saving it.
Yeah.
Kind of leaves me wondering if it's slipping to next year as well, which wouldn't be surprising for hardware. So
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, our third story, we got our first glimpse of maybe the most exciting game in modern history. Put aside your Gods of War, put aside your Horizon Forbidden West, forget Elden Ring. Don't even think about those games because we saw our first glimpse of Sonic Frontiers, and it
man, you
was
got to do Sonic dirty.
magnificent. Um, I'm being a jerk. So we got a trailer. We'll put some of the video over while we're talking. This was released by Sonic the Hedgehog, who is a verified Twitter user, apparently, Sonic_Hedgehog. He says, enjoy this small preview of Sonic Frontiers and tune in all June for the IGN first cover story, blah, blah, blah. So Sonic is repping his
We're gonna
brand
get more
here.
over the month, yeah. And Sonic Hedgehog is verified, so it's a good
Yeah,
source.
it's really Sonic. Like we
Yeah,
we know that
it's
for a
literally
fact.
Sonic. Yeah.
Jack Dorsey
So
checked.
yeah, we
Um,
saw like, what was it, 3 to 5 minutes of like legitimate gameplay, which is very
mhm.
cool to see. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Well, so you're pretty low on it. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't say pretty low. I'm mixed. I here's the thing. I love like the 3-dimensional Sonic games. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the
Do
GameCube
you? Because most
was
people don't.
well, I love one or two of them. Sonic Adventure 2
Okay.
Battle on the GameCube. This might just be through like rose tinted glasses as well. This I played
Yeah.
this when I was in middle school, but I loved Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It was a blast. Um, I don't know. I like Sonic. I always want Sonic to do well. I like the idea of a great high resolution Sonic game in an epic world. Um, the gameplay looked a little like some of the world elements looked kind of rough. Some of the world elements looked decent. It's kind of a mix. And the gameplay looked okay. The world felt kind of empty a little bit. I don't know that I got a really good sense for what this game is like. If it is exactly what we saw, it feels kind of uh, just kind of empty. What do you think?
First of all, I was a little bit impressed with the visual quality. I mean, maybe not so the performance, but I don't know if I'm just my bar has been re-lowered since Arceus, probably. But seeing this, I thought, hey, the world looks not bad, like visually. I was a little bit impressed. Like, oh, this is running on the Switch, presumably. Um, so yeah, I thought it looked good, but yeah, the world and the gameplay. After watching it, I was just like, man, that doesn't look that fun. It doesn't look that engaging. It looks like there's a lot of very. First of all of the things that you're doing in the world look very manufactured. Like none of it looks natural at all in this world. I mean, you literally
Yeah.
just have floating pipes everywhere and stuff. Which I mean, whatever, I don't know, but yeah, it just none of the gameplay really spoke to me and like, oh, that looks fun to do at all whatsoever. Like it
Mhm.
looked like a very barren. I saw a lot of comments saying tech demo. I wouldn't say that bad, but kind of, yeah. In concept, a lot of the gameplay felt very tech demo-y and just
Yeah.
didn't look like it has the chops to actually be a fun game. So we'll
I think
see.
part of what I've liked about Sonic is when it is a bit more ridiculous. Like I don't care if there's these ridiculous like loop de loops and ramps and all this stuff. If it's built very intentionally to be a course that you're traversing and running through, that can actually be pretty fun. But just having an open world with Sonic, like
Yeah, that inherently
run
changes with an open world.
running across a meadow for hours. It's ironic because I was just saying riding a bike slowly through a meadow in that other game was interesting. So funny how that goes. But
Pure hypocrisy.
running running through a meadow as Sonic feels like it would get old fast. Like part of the fun is jumping ramps and doing these loops, and you're trying to go as fast as possible. This feels like it's trying to be like Breath of the Wild or something. Not to say that couldn't work. I'm interested to see more. I'm not completely discounting it, but
Which, to be
I'm not
fair,
sure
when
how I
they
feel about
announced
it.
this and said it was going to be like Breath, it looks like Breath of the Wild. Clearly, they're drawing inspiration
Yeah.
from Breath of the Wild. I thought to myself, how does that work in a Sonic game? And from what we saw, it looks like it doesn't. We'll see. It's did it have a date? Is it targeting a window or anything?
I don't
I
think it
don't
has a
think
set
so.
date yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, I
So
didn't see
hopefully
one.
they take their time on it. And my last takeaway, is still how bad Game Freak is at making games. Like, because this game looks so much better than Arceus, running on the
It does
Switch.
look a lot better than
And
Arceus.
it just
That is
continues
true.
to show that that Pokemon
There's no
games need to
reason
look better.
Arceus should look that bad. Like it's
Right.
Yeah. So one thing I found, we don't have a date, but apparently Sonic Frontiers was supposed to launch last year to line up with Sonic's 30th birthday. Wow, I'm older than Sonic. That's sad. But to line up with Sonic's
Not me, sucker.
So this was supposed to come out last year at some point. So presumably, they're already behind schedule. I don't know if that means for sure it's coming out this year.
Clearly they're already behind schedule. Yeah, that means maybe it could come out this year. I don't know. It didn't look ready still, so
it doesn't quite look ready. Cool. Well, let's move on to another game announcement and trailer. And this is for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So Pokemon tweeted out, new Pokemon, check. New professors, check. New trailer, check. Very cheeky from Pikachu. Yeah,
verified.
You verified Pikachu. You go first on this one. What did you think of the Scarlet and Violet trailer?
Oh, you don't want me to go first.
Okay.
What they didn't show you here in the check marks is the empty box that isn't checked that says adequate graphics. They missed that one, and they cropped it out. It's not a full picture.
It's in the thread.
No,
into it.
Yeah, in the fine print. My initial reaction to this is it is too soon. It's just too soon. And I remember when they announced this, which was like a month after Arceus, and we were all like, yo, let Arceus breathe for a second before we do this. It was cool to see the new Gen 9 starters, but as far as the game is concerned, I still feel the same way. I saw the gameplay for this, or not the gameplay, but just the graphics, and it looks a little, maybe marginally better than Arceus. It still doesn't look great, and I enjoyed Arceus for a handful of hours, but after that, I was kind of done with it, and I'm not ready to go back to it. Honestly, it was lacking for me. So I'm not ready for this. I'm excited to see all the new Pokemon. That's the one thing I'm like, okay. And at the end of the trailer, they show the new legendaries. I don't know if we have their names yet, but they're snake inspired dragon looking things, and they're actually pretty cool. I like their design. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm more excited for the cards than the game.
Yeah, we'll do an unboxing of the cards at some point. But
there you go.
Yeah, I think I mostly agree. I'm still somewhat excited for this. I love the mainline Pokemon games. I'm part of the problem, right? Like Nintendo, they only meet the
There's
bare minimum.
There's an army of you.
I know. They only meet the bare minimum with certain things because people are going to buy the games, and that is frustrating to me. And this game looks like it does enough of the bare minimum things I need to be like
purchase the game.
Yeah, because the starters look cool. I like a few of them. I'm excited to see what their final evolutionary forms look like. The legendaries you mentioned will show that. Those are super cool looking. Those are the coolest legendaries I've seen in years. Those get me, like, as soon as I saw those, I was like, well, I want to.
The Sword and Shield ones were so bad, dude.
They were really bad.
So bad. Like, it was a low bar after that.
Yeah, it's like, what if we had a legendary that is a hammer and one that is a notebook? That's our new, and then we all buy it. So I don't know. The thing holding me back is
so unrelated. I would love that if they came out with Pokemon Hammer and Pokemon Notebook. I would maybe buy that. That's ridiculous.
So bad it's good, right? Yeah, you're right. The graphics are, it's frustrating because like we just said, even the Sonic, quote unquote tech demo looks better. Like there's just no reason the games couldn't look better than they do. Like, and I'm not saying they need to look like, you know, uh, God of War or something.
I
Like,
just want them to look like Breath of the Wild, honestly.
just
Like,
make them like Breath of the Wild or something. Like,
yeah.
that has to be doable. I just wish they would invest in doing that. That would go a long way for the immersion for me. I'll probably still have some quibbles with like the gameplay. I think I liked Arceus a little more than you, but I also got kind of burnt out with it. I'm more excited for Scarlet and Violet because it has this, I presumably has the structure of going to different gyms across the continent and fighting the Elite Four at the end. And that's the
Also,
same thing
it's
we always do, but I like doing that. So
also it's supposed to be an actual open world from everything they've said, as opposed to the expedition based thing for Arceus, which I
right.
will say that is the one thing where it's possible that could pull me in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'm gonna get you to buy this game at some point. I hope.
we'll see.
So anyway, I think this still looks cool. It's another Pokemon game. It's gonna have all the same pros and cons of most of the Pokemon games, I
Yep.
think.
Pre-order now.
So check it out. Oh, one other thing that was interesting about Pokemon is um, Toby Fox, who is the creator of Undertale, which is a pretty critically acclaimed indie game. He tweeted in response to Pokemon's tweet about this trailer that he says, "I had the honor of composing the field music for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet." So and then he says you can hear a bit of it in this trailer. So that's kind of neat. He wrote the music for Undertale was great, and he wrote a song that's pretty famous now called Megalovania, which I'm sure you've heard this song at some point, and it's just a great video game sound. It's like one of the boss fights in Undertale. Um, it was an iconic video game song, so it's kind of cool that he's working on this. I thought that was neat. Well, let's move on to our fifth story. We have a leak that apparently confirms Cyberpunk DLC. So hundreds of lines of dialogue reportedly from Cyberpunk 2077's first expansion have appeared online, seemingly outlining the entire plot of the DLC's quest line. Gotta love the internet. So this is circulating obviously on Reddit, where all of this stuff always happens. Yeah, according to Reddit, the Reddit users who leaked this, the expansion is going to take players to the combat zone, which is an area that you could not previously go to, but that was in the art book for the world of Cyberpunk 2077, as well as being able to visit the sports dome, which was previously not somewhere you could go. So that's kind of neat. Some more stuff to do in Cyberpunk. I don't know if you have any thoughts. Cyberpunk continues to just, I don't know, do its thing.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like another bungle from um from CD Projekt Red. That's my only thought, is like, why, who put this in the live game for people to find? Like, that's just, you don't do that. And so I don't know. Someone screwed up here.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how seemingly on a dime, CD Projekt Red just has fallen into
They're like in a
such
they're like in a
disrepair.
yard full of rakes, and they're just, every step is like, it's that Sideshow Bob
Yeah, exactly.
Sideshow Bob clip.
Well, our sixth story is another official teaser trailer, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. What did you think? What are your thoughts on Jedi
Yeah,
Survivor?
man, look at this. It's the ghost of E3 season. We're getting all these trailers. This lackluster state of play. It's happening. Jedi Survivor. I actually thought this trailer was pretty cool. It got me kind of hyped,
Mhm.
as someone who didn't really love Fallen Order, for various reasons I've mentioned before. I hope that they're able to really not just kind of tighten the screws on this, but like make some leaps in improvements from Fallen Order. And if they're able to, if the combat gets a lot tighter, and the fidelity gets a lot better, and just in general the gameplay feels tighter, I think is the biggest thing for me.
Mhm.
This could be really cool. The trailer shows, it looks like it might be an Inquisitor, so at this point it would make sense that Cal is he's having to flee, right? Order 66, all this stuff, and Jedis are essentially being hunted. So the premise of this game seems to be him surviving from being hunted, which I think sounds like a pretty cool premise. We've been getting a lot
Mm-hmm.
of Star Wars content in the Jedi trying to survive time period, and I'm about it. And what else was? Oh, the guy floating at the end in the chamber. Um, no idea what that's about, but yeah, overall, I thought the trailer was pretty cool, and I'm all ears. I'm ready for them to give me some reasons to look forward to the sequel where I didn't really like the original as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually am kind of thinking about going back and replaying Jedi Fallen Order because I didn't finish it. So I still don't know exactly how it ends. But I think I liked it. I didn't love it.
That's what
In
YouTube's
some
for,
ways,
my friend.
I know. But there's something about story games that it
That's true.
feels
You
more
got to earn it.
meaningful. Yeah, and I do like that aspect of it. And when I think of narrative driven games, I think what makes me like narrative games is that participation makes it feel more like your experience versus just watching something. That
Yeah.
being said, that my issues with Fallen Order is that the combat was at times clunky and a little bit frustrating. Not just difficult, but like kind of clunky. And some of the traversal as well. But some of the zones and regions were really neat. The story was pretty interesting. So I would like to finish that before this comes out because I'm actually pretty excited. I love a good Star Wars game, and Fallen Order, it felt more Star Wars than a lot of other Star Wars stuff we've gotten in the past decade. And it harkened back to a time when that's how Star Wars games felt. And I feel like it captured that feeling well. So if it can improve some of the combat and the other mechanics, I'll be pretty excited. All right, our seventh story. Um, Veteran Final Fantasy producer Shinji Hashimoto has retired. This is just a call out because this dude joined Square Enix in 1995, and he's was either producer or executive producer on every Final Fantasy installment since Final Fantasy VII came out in 1997, which is a pretty impressive run because Final Fantasy VII is incredible. Final Fantasy 8 is pretty good. Nine is really good. I actually like 10. I think 10 has kind of mixed. People are mixed on it, but I liked 10. There's a lot of good Final Fantasy games since 7, and 7 is maybe the most iconic, at least in my opinion. So this dude had a pretty incredible run. So I just wanted to shoot a flaming arrow. He's not dead. He's just retired. But you know
Shoot
what I
a
mean.
flaming arrow. Thank you for your service, Hashimoto. Yeah, it's nuts to think that Final Fantasy VII came out in 1997.
Dude, isn't
What the
that
heck?
isn't that crazy?
Was it one a
Yeah,
year
it's
then? Like when did they start? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it
I'll
must
look
have
it up
been
as you move
fairly
on.
frequently. Um, so yeah. So thank you, Shinji Hashimoto, for your many years of service
Final Fantasy
for
the
entertainment.
original came out in December 18th, 1987. What the
Wow.
heck? That's I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. Our eighth story: Diablo Immortal reportedly won't be released in Belgium or the Netherlands because of its loot boxes. This is a rumor, but this would make sense given that some of those countries are cracking down on loot boxes and considering them to be a form of gambling, uh, which I think is a pretty fair assessment. And um, hopefully is kind of indicating the direction the industry will go. Um, in most cases, I'm not necessarily interested in the government regulating like video game content, but this is a little bit different because this is specific mechanics, and the box mechanic. Not only is it like absolutely gambling, which is can be abused by people who struggle with that or children of their parents' credit cards, but also it just undermines so many games where you'll have Battlefront come out a few years ago, and essentially the only way to get Darth Vader is to just pay buckets of money until you finally get him. So this kind of made me happy that like companies are starting to maybe face real world consequences for egregiously greedy monetization practices. But yeah, any thoughts on this?
Um no, not really. No, not really. I don't know why I stuttered there. This is I think Belgium has been has been doing this for a while, because I remember they had to change FIFA. It might have been Belgium. They had to have a separate version that was
Mhm.
playable there without the microtransactions. So good for them. I don't know if it's just Belgium. I think there might have been one or two other countries in Northern Europe that have also basically
Probably
ruled these
Netherlands.
out.
Yeah.
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 Oh, the Netherlands. There you go. And so that's cool. I love it, but is it enough to make a difference at this point? Probably not. I would love to see this happen in the States, and I just have a hard time
Yeah.
believing that it ever will, because it's just so capitalistic here, and
We're
it's all about
so
the dollar.
corporate friendly. Yeah.
It's so core. Yeah, I don't see it ever happening. If it did, we would probably finally see a change.
Mm.
But I don't know. All this is coming to a head at some point, right? EA wants to be bought out. Loot boxes are continuing to fight the fine fight. In the next few years, we'll see what happens with EA. But this is,
Yeah.
I feel jealous of those in Belgium or the Netherlands.
Me too. Belgium and Netherlands are the bane of Andrew Wilson's existence.
Although I guess in this case it's not releasing, so that kind of sucks. But you win
Yeah.
some, you lose some.
Yeah. The only way to win is to burn it all down.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess.
all right. Well, that takes us through our news stories for the day. We got a couple of quick review roundups, and then we'll go through the free stuff. So, first of all, we talked about Kao the Kangeroo, but I've since heard that this is actually supposed to be pronounced Kao the Kangaroo.
Yeah,
Kangaroo.
I heard
So
it in the
it's
trailer.
spelled
KO.
Kao, which looks like cow, but I guess it's a play on words. He's a kangaroo with boxing gloves, so he'll KO you. So you and I were briefly excited about this because it kind of, well, this was part of the original PlayStation catalog, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 3D platformer, kind of along the lines of like a Crash Bandicoot uh, or something else like that. Um,
Spyro.
Spyro, yeah. But this is not doing super well. On OpenCritic, it got a 69. We have a couple of reviews to highlight here. Dominic Layton from the Sixth Axis gave it a 7 out of 10 and says Kao the Kangaroo is an often delightful throwback to a simpler time, paying homage to the 3D platformers of yesteryear while retaining just enough of its own identity. Most importantly, its platforming and combat are both on point, and thanks to its likable characters, you'll want to see it through to the end. We have Christian Evans from VG Charts giving it a 6 out of 10, saying, it lacks the real quality and finesse of the top games in the genre, but it's a bright and breezy affair that squarely falls under the classification of light entertainment. And finally, Stephen Tailby from Push Square gives this a 6 out of 10, saying, Kao the Kangaroo makes his big return in 2022, but the game feels like it's leapt straight out of PS2's back catalog. Despite many rough edges and old-fashioned design principles, it ultimately succeeds in delivering a fun, breezy 3D platformer for fans of the series. It manages to evoke feelings of nostalgia despite being a brand new title with its simple gameplay and colorful worlds. It does fall apart under modern scrutiny, but it just about gets away with it, thanks to its harmlessly old-school approach. So yeah, what are your thoughts on KO now that we have some reviews?
This is probably a game that I will maybe check out if it comes to some sort of free service, if we get it on Game Pass or it's a PS Plus game or something. As I'm watching it, I worry that it will fall into the category of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom remaster, which I was kind of excited for. Hopped into, played about a half an hour of it, and was like, "Whoa, I am not enjoying this at all. Like, I'm incredibly bored." I kind of worry I've grown. I don't know if it's that I've grown out of these games or that games have grown out of these games, right? This, to me, this sounds like if this were a remaster of KO from the PS2 era, it would probably be getting higher reviews, because it sounds to me like it's probably on par with the Spyro remasters that we got. I bet you they're probably pretty similar, but the fact that this is a brand new game, people expect more. I mean, look at what we got from Crash 4. Yes,
Yeah.
it's the fourth installment of Crash, but man, did they elevate that game. And it plays and holds up so well. It feels like a new game. It doesn't feel like a game from 2002. So yeah, that's where I'm at. This very easily could fall into the SpongeBob category, but I'm more than willing to give it a fair shot. I enjoyed the Spyro remakes. I played 1 and 2, got the platinums on them. I fell off before I finished 3, but I'm down for that once in a while. But I don't know that I see myself paying for this game. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like the nostalgia too of like 3D platformers and these types of worlds and characters, but I also don't know that I want to pay for it. So hopefully we'll see this on PS Plus at some point. And then we also have a review roundup for Silt, which is a pretty cool looking indie game, kind of underwater, reminiscent of Limbo, like black and white kind of vibes. On Metacritic, this is sitting at a 76 on PC. On OpenCritic, sitting at a 78, so respectable. Jill Groot. I am Groot.
He is
Jill
Groot.
Grodt from Game Informer gives this a 7.8 out of 10. Sorry for making fun of your name, Jill. Jill says, because of everything that is spectacular about Silt, its stunning art style, atmospheric environments, and pensive story, I wanted to love this game. It just wouldn't let me. Exasperating puzzles with little guidance frequently slowed my progress to a halt and left me banging my head against a wall. Even so, I still encourage players to pick up the title, if for no other reason than to experience so gorgeous a game. And then we have Liam Croft from Push Square giving this an 8 out of 10. And Liam says, it takes nothing away from the real triumph Silt is, though, with stunning visuals, disturbing sound cues, and an enjoyable gameplay loop. Silt represents what's so special about indies. A game, a great game just outside the norm. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is one I've really been looking forward to. I don't know. I had my hesitations, but this game, like you said, looks a lot like Limbo, clearly drawing inspiration from Limbo. And Limbo is a short game, so it's really hard to rank in my all-time games. But man, Limbo is like it's a top it's a top tier
Limbo's
game for
cool.
me. I
Yeah.
love Limbo. The puzzle design, the atmosphere was all fantastic. It sounds like maybe this one struggles a little bit in the puzzle design, which is a disappointment, is a bummer, but puzzles are so they can be so subjective sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen from these reviews, I am definitely going to check out this game. Obviously we'll have some video here, and visually it looks fantastic, just like Limbo. I love the monochrome black and white. It just creates such an eerie place, game space. And and we never really did get a sequel to Limbo because um forget the name of the developer, but they went on to make Inside and kind of move more into the 2D 3D space.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of like the spiritual successor to Limbo from what I can tell. And I am definitely going to check it out firsthand.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this looks interesting to me. I really like Limbo. I never beat it. I was playing it on my friend's PC like 7, 8 years ago, and I played, I don't know, half of it. Really liked it. I actually picked it up on Switch, so I'm planning to play it relatively soon, just to so that I can complete it and get the full experience. But Silt looks neat. I think it's up my alley as well. Well, that takes us to the end of our review roundups. Levi, you want to walk us through games that are coming out and free stuff?
Um, yeah, why don't you do games coming out since that's your game? I don't know anything
Oh,
about that.
right. You don't know anything about Star Wars.
I don't know.
Fair
What's
enough.
the Star Wars? The Trek Wars? What is
The
that?
Star Trek Wars are when people beam around, and that's it. No games coming out. We have Star. That's the stupidest thing I've ever said. Star
You
Wars:
crushed
Knights
it.
of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, is coming to Nintendo Switch on June 8th. Um, Anyone who's played Knights of the Old Republic, this is probably something that is exciting. Both the original KOTOR and the second Knights of the Old Republic are fantastic games. They don't completely hold up. They're old games. They're a little clunky, but they have some of the best Star Wars stories in them, and they're just a lot of fun. And so this coming to Switch is great because you can take it with you on the go. It doesn't require a ton of processing power because it's an old game. I will probably pick this one up, but would recommend waiting. Apparently, they're going to. So, Knights of the Old Republic 2 had a DLC that kind of rounded out the game, and that DLC is going to be added to the Switch title post launch at some point. So, probably worth waiting and not picking this up right on June 8th. But yeah, if you liked Knights of the Old Republic, this is worth keeping an eye on.
All right. Free stuff. We're at the beginning of the month, so we actually have some stuff to call out here. First of all, we officially got our PS Plus offerings for June, which leaked a couple days ago, but were confirmed. God of War 2018 headlining the list. Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker. Whatever that is, go get it. And then Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which this is probably where it belongs. I heard it was kind of fun, but kind of lacking. So I'll probably check it out and have one night, messing around with friends with that game. So those are your 3 for the month of June. A little lackluster, I'll say, because God of War definitely feels like a filler title since it's already free if you own a PS5. So this is only for people who are on PS4 and have not played God of War yet. So, and if that's who you are, like, what are you doing with your life, honestly? So, but in any case, those are all free. Over on Epic Games, on the Epic Store, they unveiled their new free game, and it is Wolfenstein New Order. So go and grab that. You have till next Thursday, whatever that would be, the 10th or something. No, the 9th. And then it'll switch over to a new free game, which is a mystery game still. So hopefully that will also be of higher quality, because that's usually when they do that. Over on Amazon Prime, there's a few different games. The one I want to call it is Far Cry 4. That one's free over on Amazon Prime. So go and grab that if you want. And then we have some call outs here for new to Game Pass. For Honor, Marching Fire Edition. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. Those are already on Game Pass as of now. Assassin's Creed Origins will make it to Game Pass on June 7th. Chorus will make it by June 7th. Ooh, Chorus. Is that kind of arcade space shooter game? I think it is. I'll have to see if that's the one I'm thinking of, because that's actually interesting.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, I actually kind of wanted to play that. I've had it on a wish list, so maybe I will have to get a month of Game Pass for that. Disc Room coming June 7th, and Space Lines from the Far Out coming June 7th as well. So that's all coming here in the next week. Shout out to Assassin's Creed Origins. That's my favorite one of the rebooted Assassin's Creed games. I think Origins is a stellar representation of ancient Egypt, and just a joy to travel around as far as open world games go. And it still holds up really well, especially on PC. So check that out if you haven't. And that's all your free stuff for June. And that's pretty much everything. That's all the news. We're going to have a lot coming here pretty soon, because we're moving into the heart of the Ghost of E3 season, as I've been calling it. So hopefully we'll have some exciting announcements here at Summer Game Fest. Hopefully we can get that E3 energy harnessed and have a lot to talk about next week. So if you stuck with us, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Remember, you can find us over on Patreon at patreon.com/neverlag, and we'll catch you next time on This Week in Gaming.